On October 30, 2025, Buckingham Palace dropped the bomb. King Charles III has initiated the unprecedented process to rip away Prince Andrew's last shreds of royal dignity. No more His Royal Highness. No more Duke of York, Earl of Inverness, or Baron Killerly. From this day forward, his just Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, a nobody in a crownless world. And that's not all. He's been evicted from his lavish Royal Lodge digs in Windsor, shipped off to some modest private accommodation on the Sandringham estate, all footed by Big Brother's personal checkbook. But hold on to your tiaras, because this isn't a redemption arc. This is damage control. After years of dodging the fallout from one of the most sordid scandals to ever tarnish the throne, Charles is finally wielding the axe. Why now? Fresh court documents and Epstein's resurfaced emails have dragged Andrew's skeletons back into the spotlight, reminding the world of the predator he partied with. If you're here for the tea, buckle up. Today, we're not just recapping the headlines, we're dissecting the rot at the heart of Andrew's public persona. The war hero turned wheeler dealer turned international embarrassment. We'll expose how this silver-spooned spare squandered every privilege, preyed on vulnerability, and clung to power like a barnacle on the royal yacht. By the end, you'll see why this stripping isn't justice, it's the monarchy saving its own skin. Let's start with the fairy tale Andrew loves to peddle, the dashing war hero. Born in 1960, second son of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Andrew was the good one, the spare who actually served. In 1982, during the Falklands War, he flew helicopters for the Royal Navy, dodging missiles and earning medals. Britain lapped it up. Here was a prince with grit, not just guile. He married Sarah Ferguson in '86, Fergie, the fiery redhead who spiced up the stiff royals. 2 daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, and a dukedom to boot. On paper, Andrew was the monarchy's PR dream. Relatable, rugged, redeemed. But peel back the medals, and you find the cracks. Even in the '80s, whispers of infidelity dogged him. Fergie caught him with courtesans. Their 1992 divorce was a tabloid feast, complete with toe-sucking photos that made the palace blush. Andrew didn't learn. He pivoted to trade envoy in 2001, a cushy gig jet-setting for British business, all expenses paid by taxpayers. Sounds noble? Hardly. It was a license to schmooze the world's shadiest elites. Enter Jeffrey Epstein, stage far-right, the convicted sex trafficker who Andrew met in the late 90s through Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's enabler-in-chief and Andrew's old Oxford chum. Evidence? Flight logs from Epstein's Lolita Expresses, that infamous Boeing 727 tricked out for underage transport, show Andrew aboard multiple times. Photos don't lie. There's Andrew, grinning like a schoolboy at Epstein's Palm Beach manse in 2000, arm in arm with Maxwell and a teenage Virginia Giuffre, who later accused him of sexual assault. Andrew's defense? I don't sweat, so that photo with Giuffre couldn't be me. Classic deflection. This wasn't a one-off, it was a pattern. Andrew's public persona as the affable ambassador master man who thrived in shadows, trading royal access for favors from financiers and felons. Charles stripping titles now? It's 15 years too late. The hero myth crumbled the moment he chose Epstein's orbit over common decency. Fast forward to 2019, and Andrew's house of cards collapses. Virginia Giuffre, trafficked into Epstein's web at 17, sues him in New York federal court, alleging 3 assaults, 1 in London, 1 in New York, 1 on Epstein's private island. Graphic? Yes. But grounded in sworn testimony, corroborated by flight logs, and that damning photo. Andrew's response? Not contrition, catastrophe. He grants the BBC's Newsnight interview, a 50-minute masterclass in royal delusion. Remember the sweat line? I was at Pizza Express in Woking that night. The claim he couldn't party because his mother was at home? Or that he'd never hugged his daughters like that? Viewers watched in horror as Andrew's stiff upper lip cracked into smug entitlement. No empathy for Giuffre, just alibis that screamed out of touch. The interview tanked him, brands fled, charities dumped him, and even his own mother sidelined him from duties. But Andrew didn't fade quietly. In 2022, facing trial, he settled Giuffre's suit for £12 million, no admission of guilt, but a tacit shut-up payout funded by the late Queen, reportedly. Palace sources confirm Elizabeth dipped into her private Duchy of Lancaster coffers to bail him out. And the evidence piles up. Newly unsealed docs from 2025, tied to Epstein's estate, reveal emails where Andrew thanks Maxwell for introductions post-conviction. Giuffre's posthumous memoir, Nobody's Girl, published this year after her tragic suicide at 41, details the grooming, the fear, the lifelong scars. She wrote of Andrew's cold entitlement, treating her like a disposable toy. His public persona? The jovial uncle at Balmoral, hosting garden parties while allegedly exploiting girls half his age. Charles knows this, he discussed the dukedom surrendered just weeks ago. Yet, until public fury boiled over with these docs, Andrew lounged rent-free at Royal Lodge, a 30-room mansion taxpayers maintained. Eviction now feels like theatre. Where was this spine when Geoffrey begged for justice? Andrew's not a victim of scandal, he's its architect. Andrew's critique isn't complete without the money trail, the grubby underbelly of his service. As trade envoy, he hawked access, £385,000 consultancy from Kazakh tycoon Timur Kulibayev, linked to bribes, deals with Azerbaijan's oil elite amid human rights abuses. A 2012 scandal saw him pocketing £15,000 from a Tunisian mogul days before that regime's fall. Taxpayer-funded? Absolutely. His office burned £500,000 yearly. Post-Epstein, he didn't repent. He renovated Royal Lodge with £7.5 million from friends, including Fergie, who called Epstein her generous supreme friend even after his 2008 plea deal. This entitlement poisoned the monarchy. Queen Elizabeth stripped his patronages in 2022, but let him keep the house keys. Charles, ever the modernizer, inherited the mess. Now, with his own health battles and slimmed-down royals, Andrew's baggage threatens the brand. Widespread backing for the strip, polls show 70% approval, but X, formerly Twitter, erupts with calls for more, remove his succession rights, his eighth in line, probe the Queen's payout. Critics like royal author Andrew Loney argue in his new book entitled that Andrew's jealousy of Kate Middleton fueled family rifts, turning him into a petulant liability. The public persona Andrew curated, the yacht-loving, golf-obsessed everyman, was always a facade for a man who believed rules didn't apply. Charles' move? Necessary, but cynical. It shields the crown without real accountability. No trial, no apology, just a name change and a new postcode. Andrew's daughters keep their titles, Beatrice and Eugenie, innocent by birth, but the stain lingers. This is what happens when privilege festers unchecked. So, there you have it. Prince Andrew, the fallen prince whose service was a sham, whose friendships were fatal, whose denials were damning. From Falkland's fire to Epstein's firestorm, his story isn't tragedy, it's a textbook takedown of unchecked power. King Charles's title strip and eviction? A bold stroke, finally severing the rut. But as Andrew slinks to Sandringham, funded by the family he embarrassed, one question burns. Is this justice, or just janitorial work for the Windsors? The monarchy survives another day, but at what cost? Public trust erodes with every dodged scandal. Andrew's persona, that grinning, grasping facade, challenged us all to demand better. Not blind loyalty, but brutal truth. If Charles wants a modern crown, he must go further. Transparency on settlements, reforms for accountability. Otherwise, the next Epstein is just a flight away. What do you think? Too late for Andrew? Or time to rethink the royals altogether? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like if this hit home, and subscribe for the next deep dive. Until then, stay skeptical, stay sharp. The throne isn't eternal, but accountability might just save it. Thanks for watching.